Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having an unbelievable week to this point. It's hump day, y'all. It's hump day. Halfway through the week for those of you who go Monday through Friday. For those of us who push a little further, a little bit longer to go. But hey, it's all good. Look, no matter where you are right now, no matter how it seems, no matter what you think is going on, delay does not mean denial. Because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it isn't going to happen. Consistency in pursuit of anything is immensely important. I think that a lot of people have gotten caught up in this culture of instant gratification, this microwave culture where it happens now, it happens now, it happens now, or it's not meant to be. And what you end up with is an entire society of people who jump in and out of things without finishing, without completing them, without following through. You can't get to the highest level of life and living jumping in and out of things. I need you to understand that. You cannot get to the highest level of life jumping in and out of things. This microwave society has everybody believing that if it doesn't happen right away, it's not going to happen. The best things have to be built. The best things have to be cultivated in faith. It has to be moved. You have to go through things, build things, sustain things, visualize things. It takes time to build the things that last. It takes time to build things that have value. It takes time to build things that have impact. Stop trying to make it happen overnight and start looking for the first brick. Build your first wall by laying your first brick. Find people who will serve as the cohesiveness or the mortar to the structure you're trying to build and bring them into your circle. Stop trying to buy into this idea of self-made because it doesn't exist. You need help. You need people who believe in you. You need people who can give you information and guidance. You need people who can plug into you and remind you of the vision, of the dream, of the aspirations, of the reason why you're doing something. Stop thinking it's going to happen overnight. That's why you got so many people starting over and over and over. This thing, it didn't work. Probably not God's will. This didn't work. The devil sure was busy. I'm going to go over here and try this. This didn't work, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to try this. Oh, and before you look up, you've got 20 years of nothing but starting something and not finishing. And then you get to the point where you're not starting anything at all because what? You've developed a case of learned helplessness. You've taught yourself to believe that you can't. Not because you couldn't, but because you didn't finish. Let me tell you something. Be consistent. Be forceful. Understand that delay does not mean denial, and push forward. I know this isn't what we're here. We're here. It's Wealth Building Wednesday, and I'm not going to be long, but I just needed you to understand that if you're going to make it somewhere, you're going to have to be consistent. You're going to have to be anchored. I'm telling you from experience. I'm telling you from the people that I've learned from. I'm telling you from years and years of study and observation that it is a process. The things that I've accomplished haven't come easy. Matter of fact, the things that are worth having, the things that I hold dearest to me, I had to fight for it. I had to push through it. I had to wait on it. I had to demand it again and stand firm. I had to finish. My mantra is simple. I'm relentless. I do not give up. No surrender, no retreat. I do not quit. I don't fold under the pressure of delay. I don't fold under the pressure of failure. I don't fold under the pressure of not being able to see it right now. I don't fold under the pressure of people talking behind my back. I don't fold under the pressure of not being able to look right in front of me and see what I think I should see. I believe in the vision. I believe in my ability, my capacity, my gifting, my skills. I believe that whatever it is I've set out to do, that in time it will get done. If it doesn't get done in the timing that I said, I keep pressing. God is a redeemer of time. Everything that I have to wait on, I get rewarded for the wait when I complete what I start. I just had to drop that on you. I hope that it blesses somebody. Pass it on. Look, real briefly, I brought back out and dusted off the rapid change breakthrough session. This is something that I've been doing for years. It's immensely powerful. It is not the same as working with me over time. It's not going to be like the gold and platinum packages of weeks of hammering on things and working things out. But what it can do is provide a mental breakthrough. What it can do is provide a mental visual of what's going on. What it can do is allow me to help you to set the visual. Because if you can visualize it, if you can keep the vision in front of you, there's absolutely nothing that you cannot accomplish. And this thing has been immensely powerful. And I normally would do it in one session, but what I'm doing now is I'm offering 2 rapid change breakthrough sessions, regularly priced at $650. I'm offering you 2 of them for $497. That's 2 at the price, but I'm also doing something else. I'm giving you a free disc assessment. I'm going to take the assessment after you finish it, and I'm going to write out you a plan for 6 months for you to move past whatever obstacles are in front of you. Let me tell you, the obstacle is there for a reason. It can't stop you. It can only strengthen you. It can only give you a sense of direction. It can only challenge you. It cannot stop you. Your destiny, by the very definition, says you're destined to do it as long as you finish, as long as you push forward, as long as you refuse to quit, as long as you don't sit there and let life stop you. Your destiny. One of the simplest definitions I've ever heard of destiny. You've heard me say this before. The movie Deja Vu. Then he's sitting in this bomber is sitting in front of Denzel across the table for him, and and Denzel's trying to figure out a way to stop him from doing something he's already done because they're in the past. And Denzel's talking to him, and he looks at Denzel and he says, "Do you know the definition of destiny?" And Denzel said, "No." What? He says, "The more you try to stop it, you only ensure that it happens." That's the way I've moved through life. See, the more that's in front of me only prepares me for what's on the other side. The more that's in front of me, the more you try to stop me, you just become a plea for the first 20 people who sign up, or until the end of this week, whichever comes first. But I just felt like this, and I came up with it yesterday, and I put it out there, but I'm putting it out again. If you want to sit down in front of me, and let's sit down and hammer it out. Talk about what's going on. I'm telling you, sometimes it's right in front of you. You just can't see it. The way you're thinking won't allow you to recognize it. The way you're thinking will allow you to walk right around the very opportunity you're looking for. Let me help you visualize it. Let me help you define it. Let me help you see clearly and get to where you're trying to go. Again, it's a great offer. It's in front of you. Let's talk real briefly about what we're here to talk about. Wealth Building Wednesday. Hey, know the cost to play. Everybody that I interviewed before I wrote The War on Black Wealth, before I built the Path to Generational Wealth 18-month course, 10 years of research, talked to some major hitters, read I can't tell you how many books, trying to find all of the things that are available. Yeah, there are blocks. There are systemic blocks for certain people. If you are a black person, there's a systemic block. If you are a person who is historically marginalized, there are some things out there that just because of who you are, you're going to reach out. But there are so many things available that cannot be denied. So many ways you can move and operate that cannot be denied, and we're missed. But here, some of the things are mindset. Some of the things are systemic in the way we think and the way we move. And no matter who I talk to, no matter what book I read, there are some things. One of the things is know the cost to play. When you talk to the major hitters, there are a couple of things they're going to be aware of. They're going to be aware of their tax liabilities. They're going to be aware of the cost of any investment to get in, the commissions paid, and everything else. And they're going to know what their risk is. What do they stand to lose? So all of this is a part of the cost factor. You need to know your tax liabilities. You need to know cost and commissions and fees. You also need to know your risk of loss. And you need to know what that is every time you enter the game. When you understand that, you're able to use a system that will create a margin of safety for you that will minimize your losses. Let me explain something to you. You don't get in the game of developing and growing wealth and investing and not take losses. The goal is to diversify, to be very well managed in how you are allocating your resources across assets to hedge against loss, so that even when you lose in one area, the gains in other areas compensate for it and you consistently grow. The idea is to grow consistently and steadily. The more you try to ramp it up, the more risk you take. And you have to make that decision based on how old you are, what your date of maturity is and when you need to hit a certain number, and that's going to tell you what you need to put out there. But again, the more rapidly you try to speed up the process, the more risk you have to take in order to do so, and these need to be calculated risks. Again, understanding what the cost to play. How much is it going to cost me? Is it tax deferred? Is it tax protected? I talked to you on Monday Monday about the power of using trust to protect and operate underneath a trust to guard against some of these costs. But the idea is you have to know, because when you know the cost, you manage the cost. We were sitting up in a meeting yesterday, and we were having this conversation amongst several men, and we were having this discussion. And one of the things that came up was a guy was talking about his 401k, and the 401k can be a powerful instrument, especially if your employer is matching your contributions. It's a great place to put it. Here is the challenge, though: you can lose your 401k, and most people are never told that. Also, the fees and the fees that come along with 401ks can be quite extensive. On an average, 17 billion plus is hit on 401ks in the US. So you take all the 401ks in the US and $17 billion in fees. Now, if you look at the reports, the annual reports, the quarterly reports on your 401k, it's a minimum of 50 pages. And in there is an explanation of where these fees come from and how they are calculated, but the average person can't read it. You're going to need somebody with a financial acumen and level of literacy that can literally break it down and tell you, hey, this is costing you this much, this is costing you this much, and then determine how you can allocate. But the one thing that is going to be difficult is saying that you can't lose it, because you can. So it is a chance of building something. It has the capacity to grow, but it is invested in assets that can depreciate. And if you invest in assets that can depreciate in value and you didn't choose wisely, you can lose. Again, I tell this story a lot. I am the person that literally repatriated the Enron executives after Enron Energy Company collapsed. I did international relocations. I expatriated and repatriated for companies like Unical, EDS, Nortel, Baker Hughes, Dresser Rand, Flora Daniels, and others. And I got the contract to bring home Enron executives. And I saw people who had their 401ks gutted. Why? Because they believed in the company's reports that it was doing unbelievably spectacular, and they overweighted in their 401k, which they shouldn't have been allowed to do in the first place. But anyway, it happened, and it happened consistently. A lot of people came home to nothing. They left thinking they were on top of the world. That's just one instance of not having a balanced portfolio, a diversified portfolio, understanding the costs and the risk. You have to be aware of the risk. Risk aware versus risk averse. You're going to have to take risk if you're going to invest. There's no such thing as a guarantee. If it's a guarantee, it's going to be very low on a return, and probably not outpacing inflation, especially not right now. You have to have something you're investing in that's outpacing the rate of inflation, or you're just basically throwing out there. Now, what you don't want is to be sitting cash heavy in such a highly volatile market where there's nothing backing the dollar, the US dollar, and you're holding on to cash in a bank account that's doing 2.33%. It's not outpacing inflation, so you're losing money every day that your money's in that bank account. It may have the same number, but the same value. It does not, because the value is depreciating. So again, it's something you need to think about. It's something you need to do. Where can you put it to where it's growing? The goal is to take it and grow it. Make it work for you. Find assets to put in, to invest in, that it's growing in. Diversify across. I don't care. Here's the thing. Listen to me very carefully, and I'm going to close on this. I don't care how well something is doing. Don't you go over heavy. Don't you go weighted in it, because If the more weighted you get in it, the more risk you are to a volatile flip. If something goes wrong in that industry, something volatile happens, and you don't have time to respond to it, you can lose whatever you've put in there, and it can set you back drastically. We've all experienced it because the proclivity is, man, this thing is popping, and there you go, and you go to putting in, and you look up, and I've done it on something that I was doing. It was mine, and it was popping, and something out of my control snatched the entire platform from underneath me. And I took that hit. And you say, okay, I knew better. And if you've been in a game long enough, you say, okay, I do better. But the beautiful thing about being in it and knowing it is, you know that no matter how hard of a hit you take, you know that you've built, you can go back and do it again, but you don't want to take unnecessary hits. You want to take as few hits as possible, meaning you need to be as educated and aware as possible. And you need to do that. That's one of the reasons I created the Path to Generational Wealth course, is I wanted people to be able to sit up and say, look, I'm learning this thing, and everything in there you're not going to grasp off the top. If you can get 20% of it, it's going to change your life. And the thing is, you'll have access to it. And so you just consistently go back and grind it and grind it and develop it. It's going to take years to become a master at this thing. But within 18 months, you could be winning at this thing. And that's the thing. And so 18 months, well, let's put it like this. If it takes you 18 months to start winning at this thing, what happens if you don't do anything? What are you going to be doing in 18 months? Where you are now, doing the same thing you're doing now, and in the same situation with no control. The idea is to gain control, to fight for control, to gain a sense of autonomy in what you're doing. It takes time. It takes time to build. It takes time to rebuild. It takes time to rescue. It takes time to recover. All of these different things are things it takes time to do. Like I said at the top of this thing, stop looking for the quick fix. Stop thinking everything is going to happen overnight. Stop thinking, oh man, I've been in this 3 years. I've been in this 5 years. How long is it going to take? What I can tell you is God is a redeemer of time. When you put something in consistently, when you're paying your dues every day, you're waking up, you're learning, you're applying what you learn every day. Trust me, the seeds are being planted. Sometimes you are planting an oak tree and not a rose. And you got to understand the difference. There are different gestation periods for what you plant. See, if I plant a rose, the gestation period for it isn't long. You're going to go up and look up in a few weeks and you're going to see a bud coming up out of the ground. And then within a few more weeks, you're going to see it coming. Before you know it, within a few weeks down the line, you got something and you're getting your first blossom. You plant an oak tree, you're looking up in years. What the heck is going on here? It's going to take years, but when you get it, it'll last for years. You're going to have to deal with the dying and the reblossoming of this rose tree and over again, because what? It was meant to grow fast, but it didn't have longevity. This is meant to grow slow, but it lasts for, lifetimes. And that's the thing you got to understand. What's the gestation period of your dream? What's the gestation period of your goal? What's the gestation period of your hopes? What's the gestation period of your vision? Stop trying to make it happen overnight and start planning for the long haul, and understand that it isn't just about what you can realize in the moment. It's what you can create for the future and beyond. Plant something that outlives you. Plant something that benefits your children's children's children. Plant something that people can eat from long after you leave this place. You're building something. Invest in yourself. Learn for yourself. Stand for yourself. It is immensely important that you stop letting this microwave society and this microwave culture convince you that if it doesn't happen by this time, that delay does not mean denial. No good thing shall be withheld from you. Nothing shall be impossible. You've got to keep these things in mind, but you've got to be committed enough to go the distance. With that being said, look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to step in. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. And finally, don't forget, if you want a chance to work with me in the Rapid Change Breakthrough Program, I'm giving 2 sessions for less than the price of one. and we're going to hammer it out. We're going to look at your thinking. We're going to look at your vision. We're going to look at your aspiration. We're going to use a process called visualization. It is one of the principal elements and components of visionetics, a concept I created to help people break free of limiting beliefs. I'm going to help you achieve something that you've been sitting there. And I guarantee you, a bunch of you who take advantage of this are going to find out the very thing that you were looking for was in front of you the entire time. But your mind is playing tricks on you. The way you're seeing life won't allow you to recognize the opportunity. And here's the thing that I want to leave you with. Opportunities have shelf lives. You have a destiny, and the destiny is set. But opportunities come. They rest on your stoop for a minute. If you don't seize them, the opportunity leaves, and now you're in the cycle of looking for the next opportunity. Start learning to seize opportunities, recognize them, and seize them. We'll talk about all of that and more if you decide to work with me. But on that note, what? Know the cost to play. Talk to you guys soon.